So, how do we deal with the war on women's reproductive rights? Welcome to another episode of It's Her Turn. I'm your host, Dr. Kate Dow, and I really wanted to get on and talk a little bit about this. And of course, I'm going to have my own opinions, and they may not be your opinions, and so you can see what fits and leave the rest. Women's reproductive rights, women's right to actual, really good health care has been a primary issue of the patriarchy uh, for a long, long, long time. And as many of you know, Texas law just showed up with a brand new abortion law that is insane. It really is. It's basically saying that women cannot get abortions after 6 weeks, and um, there's no consideration for women who are pregnant due to incest or to rape, and that there's these crazy ways they got around the Roe versus Wade stipulations and basically are allowing private citizens to be the legal system and say they have a right to go sue a woman they think has had an abortion just because she's had an abortion, and they get to go to court and sue for up to $10,000. Now, I may not have all the specific facts because I have not done a ton of homework. I've been busy with lots of things today, so don't hold me to all the details, but basically I just thought I'd get on and talk a little bit about what is showing up out there and the confusion that this is being something that's actually legit and that the Supreme Court is not challenging it. And it's hopefully going to create a big uproar of rights being violated and discussions about this. But I'm going to talk about it kind of psychologically speaking and spiritually speaking, because how do we deal with this is sort of twofold, right? Because uh, if we are thrown off our center, which of course information like this is incredibly impactful, and we just go into reaction and fear and anger, then guess what? We are not our best, and we are not able to make possibly the smartest decisions that we could if we're coming from this reactive place. Not to say that it's not real and it's authentic to be upset. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be upset and then figure out how to calm yourself and come back to center and recognize that there's places and choices we can make to be a part of addressing this issue. And the more that we can sit with our own feelings about it, and the more we can process our own experiences, feelings, struggles about it, the better off we're going to be in navigating whatever we choose to do around it. I'll just share a little my process of what shows up. Is this just I'm so almost like blown away with the insanity of the pro life people who think that this is actually about protecting fetuses. It's so clearly a war on women's actual reproductive rights and health. And that's what it's been from the get-go, but it just lovingly gets put in this, oh, we're really here about saying that, God doesn't want us to kill the babies. And it's like, if that's the case, then why don't you go address the Afghan, war and violence that's going on from our country to theirs and all over the place? Why don't you go address what's happening in other areas of complete terrorization and killing of, innocent women and children? This has been part of the application. This has been part of the agenda and the media version of we're just trying to be, good, spiritual, religious people, right? And if that was the case, the issue would be, how do we help provide care for women who are most in need of reproductive health care? women who are living under the poverty line, women who have very little access to basic health care, mental health care, reproductive health care, women who, people of color, people who are struggling, who don't have even the basic resources right now. So if we are really about protecting, then the protecting of the women, protecting of the women at risk for getting pregnant, the women who are not getting free uh, contraception, they're not getting the access to healthy, visits with their doctors, possibly. We don't have insurance, we don't have health care that is supporting women. And so this is just another way that we get to pretend this is about supporting women or supporting our culture from this insane a right for women to have a choice over their own bodies. So for me, it brings up a lot because of my own personal experience and the fact that all women should have access to basic health care and the rights to their own bodies. It brings up issues of abuse, where women are abused and then get pregnant, especially with incest situations. And then what? Now they're not going to be able to have abortions if they don't know they're pregnant prior to 6 weeks. Now, if you don't have adequate health care, you're not going to necessarily know you're pregnant before you're 6 weeks because you don't have the financial means to go buy a pregnancy test, or you don't have the access to even get to the stores to buy one, right? Or have the money to buy one. So this touches on so many pieces. And ultimately, it's a two-pronged approach for me personally, as a woman who has anxiety anyway, and have had abuse issues. And I've had situations where I chose to have an abortion because of my own mental health challenges at the time, that there was no way I could foresee being able to stay in the unstable situations I was in, to be able to navigate being able to become a mom and handle that. I didn't have the resources emotionally in my life. And, I felt this was a long time ago, and I felt really grateful for places like Planned Parenthood who were available for me as a, starving college student. So, this whole idea, the fact that it's still happening this many years later and they're trying to turn back time is it's horrific. It's horrific. It's insanity. And again, we are given the opportunity to stand up, have our voice, speak our truth, right? Claim our power by deciding how do we want to support challenging this. And so, number one is, first, take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Figure out what you need to do to get the support and the resources externally, internally, to find your center so that you can be your best no matter what you choose to do going forward, right? Whether it's to sign a petition or to be part of a march or to address things on a political level in a bigger way, whatever way that you want to do it. As activists, you have to remember that being in active rebellion to the situation happening out here is best met if you can hold on to your homeostasis, right? When we get activated with anger and fear and feeling violated, like this is a violation. So for many women, it's bringing up this sense of like, you are threatening my life in a way. You're threatening my healthcare. You're threatening my life, right? If you're threatening other women, even if you don't live in Texas, women are feeling this a ripple effect across the United States. Like, we're all in it. And even if I'm a white woman and I have more access to services, that still doesn't make me not react from a place of total terror for women who are in that situation, who don't have a choice, right? Who are limited with resources and aren't going to get the services they need and the support they need, and also might end up getting sued if they try. It's completely insane. So we have to figure out, how do we take a deep breath? And I know that seems possibly crazy, but let's just take a few deep breaths together, because this is not our first rodeo with insanity at the helm. So we have to figure out, how do we come back to center? And deep breathing is your easiest free tool to use. Deep breathing, grounding, get your feet flat and connect down into the earth. And like the craziness we've been through as women, who recognize the insane misogyny happening with our presidency a number of, just last year and the last many years, we can come back to our center and we can take care of us, because we have to. We have to be able to keep finding our center so that we can be our best. Whether you're going to be out on the front lines, or you're going to be behind the scenes, or you're going to just be vocal about this in your community, we are going to make the impact, because we are not just coming from absolute, terror, right? And that terror is real, but sit with it, be present with your terror, see how you can come back into that center so that you can have your voice. We can't have our voice and make a difference in the same way if we are activating and living from that terror and anger at that place. I've experienced it in my work situations, in unhealthy, really bad relationship dynamics. I've gone there. I've done those pieces where you think, hey, I feel really empowered because I'm so pissed off, but we're not empowered when we're from that place. We are way more empowered when we digest the insanity, we breathe, and we bring our bodies, our nervous systems back into homeostasis so that we can operate from an actual place of assertiveness, and not playing the game of aggression, which is what's happening when they're making laws like this. It's to enact fear, it's to enact aggression, and then it's to go and attack people for reacting. This is like domestic violence on a nationwide level right now in Texas. It's like the perpetrator activating by doing things aggressively and then blaming the victim for getting pissed off. So we want to see how to, I know I keep saying it, come back into center, but digest the tension, digest the insanity, digest all the triggers. Calming our nervous system is the best way, with a deep breath, grounding, and even tapping. If you're familiar with tapping, you can do different processes, or you can just do simple tapping, like bilateral tapping right under your collarbone. Breathing and calming down so that you can come into your own consciousness and do your inner work to first get connected with your resources, get calm, and then make a decision. How do you want to address this issue in a way that you feel like you're being a part of the change, or just personally in your own life speaking about it? But if we do it from our place of past triggers, we're not going to be as effective, and we're also not going to be able to make our way through this, because I don't think this is the end of crazy legislation like that. I don't think we're past the point of things getting weirder and more uncertain. And this is the place that many people have talked about, how things are going to get more and more stressful. And so our job is to strengthen our resilience, strengthen our nervous system, and as women, find our voice, but find our voice from that resilience, from that place of nervous system strength, so that we are not just losing it and wasting our energy in a way that isn't going to actually make the changes we want to see, right? So people know that who are in different ways of activation and challenging the status quo. For me, my way of being an activist is helping people be empowered from the inside out, because that makes a difference too. If I sit here and just stay strung out about this, then I am not really being of service for the greater good. So I've got to feel it. I've got to process it. I've got to see what it's bringing up for me. And then I can figure out, how do I want to speak to this? How do I want to support women who are feeling so scared, so pissed off about this, and say, hey, you have a right to feel it all. Go feel it, go digest it, and then get your center and figure out what your plan is to be a part of the change, to be part of the voice that gets to say, I'm sorry, this is unacceptable. This is inhumane, right? This is no longer okay. This war on women's reproductive rights and our health. It's not acceptable on any level, and we are going to find our way to stand against this, to speak up, and to continue to address the fact that what this really is the war on women's rights. So just wanted to come on and support you with this, since it's coming up for a lot of us. And so keep tapping, keep breathing, keep coming into your center, and give yourself the time to digest, and then make your plan, make the contacts, make connections, see what it is that you want to do within your world, your community, or supporting nationwide movements that are addressing this, but do it from a place of consciousness, okay? That's my invitation. Because otherwise our anxiety brings us into terror and brings us into aggression as a fight or flight mechanism, and it's just not going to help us make the movement we want to be making about this. So I hope this was helpful. Hold on to yourself, and remember, it's your turn to find your voice, own your truth, and claim your power.